In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 things I wish I knew before shooting my first short film. So, number one is communication. In this industry, man, the main thing that matters a lot is how you communicate. In most cases, you are working with people. Everybody is there to satisfy you as a director. They are there to provision your vision. They are there to help you achieve your vision. So you write a script, you have an idea of what you want it to be. You see it in your mind, how you're going to do the edits. But the main thing is it's in your head, right? And people who are doing this don't know what's in your head. So from actors, from the people behind the camera, from your sound person, everybody was involved in bringing your vision to life. They don't know what you're thinking. So you have to know how to communicate. And part of that is one, telling the DOP what type of lighting that you want. So whilst everybody involved in this process is very creative and they can do crazy things, the main thing is we all have to do the thing that you want. So you know what it looks like. We don't know, right? So if you look at some of the films that I've made, there's been a lot of fights. I did one whereby I didn't want a lot of handheld because I'm not a fan of handheld. It gets to a point where it looks like it's a phone video, right? And the DOP I was working with, that's what he wanted to do, and he started doing things that he only wanted to do, which did not satisfy the vision. But one of the challenges that was my communication wasn't key. I should have communicated better to say, hey, I don't like handheld. I don't need it. I'm not going to use it. You can shoot it, but I'm not going to use it. And we can use the time that we have on the shots that I actually do need. So I would say lesson number one is communication. Number two is your network. So when you're starting out, you're likely not going to have a budget. If you do have a budget, great. But even though you need people. So whatever you want to do, making a film, it's not a one-man band. It's not a YouTube video where you can shoot, edit, and put it out by yourself. But if you're making a film, you're likely to be doing one of the many things, right? So if you're directing, you need to direct actors to do something. You need a person behind the camera. You need someone to capture sound. You need someone to help you with costumes. You need all of these things. Obviously, I didn't have all those. I think one of the biggest crews I've had on set is 4 people when I'm doing one of my short films. Or I think I did one with 5. And then I had 2 actors. I've worked with actors. But all those people came out of my network. So it's a network of peers. It's looking at a friend and being like, oh, you like being an actor. Would you act in one of my things that I'm working on? And then that person gives you their time, and then you're working off of their time. And then from that network, when people see what you're doing, they want to be involved in your next projects because they see that you're doing what they are in line with, which aligns with their goals and visions. So through your network, you are able to create stuff. So if you've seen my podcast, if you've seen anything, it's all through just the network. And having a great network helps you with locations. It helps you with, so most of my friends, they know my financial situation. So they don't show up going like, hey, I want this, I want that. They just show up with, okay, let's help you achieve your vision, because in achieving your vision, I achieve my vision. The third thing that you want to know is understand what platforms you're going for when you're making the content, right? So, and what's the goal? So, in most cases, people make films. We make short films for festivals. So the idea is to go on a festival run, maybe to try and win the prize, and maybe to network and get into the spaces. Understanding the platform helps you come up with the time. So there is a competition that happens in the city that I live in, Vancouver, called the Run and Gun Festival. In this thing, it's 5 minutes. It has to be done in 2 days and stuff like that. It's a crazy festival. I mean, making a short film in 2 days is just ridiculous. But people do it, and the primary reason for doing it is to see if you can come up with a story in 2 days, but also for the events that happen afterwards, because they open up networking possibilities. So I mainly make my short films for YouTube, and the reason I do it for YouTube, it's mainly because I want to showcase my skills as a cinematographer. It's a practice for me because I'm like, I'm not at a level yet where I want to put money or to do things. What I want to do right now is just work on my skills, and I'm doing it for YouTube because I see from people's interactions what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong, and that's just a platform. The fourth lesson is planning. So you need to plan out your short film. Take time. There's no rush. It's you wrote it. Take time, plan it out, understand where each scene is going to happen, what shots you're going to use, what you want it to look like, what you want the actors to do, everything. Plan it all out. Speak to your actors. When are they available? When are they not available? What can be done? What resources can we use? Planning helps. It helps a lot. It saves you time on the day because you're likely not paying people. What you don't want to do is waste time. So most people will give you 3 hours of their day to come and do something, bang, bang, and they're out. And that's perfect. Filmmaking takes time, and you don't want to waste people's time because time is money, especially when you live in expensive cities like I do. The fifth thing is gear does and does not matter, right? So with gear, it helps you. I used to shoot on the Sony FX3. That gives me a better quality than I would have gotten out of my Sony A6400 that I used to have. But if you have a good story, if you know what you want to achieve, listen, gear is good to have, but it's not necessity. So always know this. You don't necessarily need the latest fancy anything. Is you need to understand how to tell your story, how to use the resources that you have in order to tell the story that you want to tell. So if you want to tell a story of someone who's feeling suicidal, someone who just made money, someone who's whatever story you're trying to tell, how can I best tell it with the resources that I have? One of the main challenges that I've always had has been location. So instead of trying to find locations and wasting my time and losing brain cells on where do I find location, I just started shooting in my house, man. Like in my house, there's only one couch. So what does that mean? Oh, this can be a depressed person's place. This can be a horror flick house. We can convert it into whatever you want it to be. It's your choice. And then additional things that I'll just tell you about is time management. So you always want to constantly be on time. In film, especially when you start making money, I've worked as an extra, I've worked on sets, and I've seen how these things work. It costs money to make film. Like it's crazy the amount of money that you have to pay. We tried renting out lenses. You rent them out. You're told the time you have to take them out, the time you have to take them in, and then there are costs to you missing those time periods. So it's like everything that you're doing costs money. So before you start putting in money, you want to think about that. You also want to think about if I'm not on time, I don't get the shots that I want. I don't get to tell the story that I want, and I get to rush people, and that's not fair. Send out the scripts if you can a week before so that your actors can become familiar. I mean, you don't know each actor's process. Some may not even read the script a week before, but don't give them an opportunity to have an excuse of saying you didn't send the script to me on time. So yeah, with that said, I've shared more than 5 tips for making your next short film.